Have you ever noticed that the gun on your hip right now has probably never once shown up in a YouTube ranking? That's not an accident. The algorithm rewards the same 10 pistols over and over because those are the guns manufacturers push, not the guns real people actually put in a holster and wear to work. This list is different. This is not a quality ranking. This is a frequency ranking. 10 guns real Americans are actually carrying every single day in 2026, based on what shows up at gun stores, on gun ranges, and on real waistbands, not what shows up in a sponsored thumbnail. Number 1 is not what you think, and by the time we get there, you'll understand exactly why the algorithm never shows it to you. Let's rank them. Number 10, Diamondback, DB9. The Diamondback DB9 almost never gets mentioned on gun YouTube, and that silence does not match how many of these are actually out there. 6+1 capacity, width of 0.9 inches, weight unloaded of 11 ounces. This is a bare-bones micro pistol built for one job, disappearing completely in a pocket. No optics cut, no fiber optic sights, no influencer campaign. Just a small, cheap, reliable pocket gun that real budget carriers have been buying quietly for over a decade. Why number 10? It will never win a shootability comparison, but frequency isn't about winning comparisons. It's about what's actually out there, and there are a lot of these in a lot of pockets. Price approximately $350. Capacity 6+1. Best for deep pocket carry on a tight budget. Number 9. Kel-Tec P11. If you've never heard of the Kel-Tec P11, you're not alone, and that's exactly the point of this list. 10+1 capacity. Weight unloaded of 14 ounces. Kel-Tec built this gun decades ago as one of the first genuinely affordable slim 9mm carry pistols in America, years before the micro-compact revolution. YouTube credits to other brands. It's still in production, it's still selling, and a huge number of longtime carriers who bought one in the 2000s never stopped carrying it because it never gave them a reason to switch. Why number 9? The trigger is nothing special and the sights are basic. But real-world persistence, not trigger feel, is what earns a spot on this list. Price approximately $320. Capacity 10+1. Best for carriers who found something that worked years ago and never saw a reason to upgrade. Number 8. Taurus TCP 738. The Taurus TCP is one of the best-selling pocket pistols in American history, and it almost never gets a single mention on any YouTube channel. 6+1 capacity and 3.80 ACP. Weight unloaded of 10.2 ounces. Width of 0.79 inches. This gun sells in huge volume at every gun show, every pawn shop counter, and every big box sporting goods store in the country, specifically because it's cheap, it's small, and it works well enough for the job most owners actually need it for. Why number 8? It will never be anyone's favorite range gun, but sales volume doesn't lie, and this one moves in numbers that dwarf guns YouTube talks about constantly. Price approximately $240. Capacity 6+1. Best for first-time buyers who want the cheapest, legitimate pocket pistol on the market. Number 7. Sauer P238. The SIG P238 is the pocket pistol that experienced, older carriers actually choose, and almost nobody under 30 has ever heard of it. 6+1 capacity and 3.80 ACP. Weight unloaded of 15 ounces. Built like a shrunken 1911, with a real single-action trigger and a manual thumb safety instead of a mushy striker pull. Real carriers who grew up on 1911s and want that exact same manual of arms and pocket size gravitate to the P238 specifically because nothing else replicates that feel this small. Why number 7? 6 rounds of 380 is a real limitation, and the price is high for the capacity. But the demographic that carries this gun is loyal, experienced, and not going anywhere. Price approximately $650. Capacity 6+1. Best for 1911 trained carriers who want that exact trigger feel and pocket size. Number 6. Glock 26. The Glock 26 is 30 years old, wider than every modern micro-compact, and still shows up on real waistbands constantly. 10+1 capacity, expandable with any Glock 9mm magazine. Weight unloaded of 21.7 ounces. Width of 1.18 inches. Real carriers who already own a Glock 17 or Glock 19 as a home gun or duty gun choose the 26 specifically because it shares magazines completely. Drop a 17-round mag in a 26, and you have a backup gun with full-size capacity. Why number 6? It's thicker and heavier than nearly everything else on this list, but shared magazine compatibility with an existing Glock is a real practical reason people keep choosing it over thinner competitors. Price approximately $550. Capacity 10+1. Unlimited with larger Glock magazines. Best for existing Glock owners who want backup gun magazine compatibility. Number 5. Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, not the Shield Plus. The original Shield, and it still moves in enormous numbers years after being replaced on paper by its own successor. 7+1 flush capacity, 8+1 extended, width of 0.95 inches, weight unloaded of 19 ounces. This gun sold in the millions for over a decade, and a huge percentage of those buyers never traded up to the Plus. They bought the original, it worked, and they kept carrying it. Why number 5? Lower capacity than the Plus, thicker aftermarket saturation with older accessories than new ones. But real-world numbers on the ground still favor the original by sheer volume in circulation. Price approximately $400 used, discontinued but widely available. Capacity 7+1 flush, 8+1 extended. Best for carriers who bought early and never needed a reason to switch. Number 4. Glock 43, not the 43X. The original 43, the one everyone forgets exists, now that its bigger sibling gets all the YouTube attention. 6+1 capacity, width of 1.06 inches, weight unloaded of 17.99 ounces. This was the gun that finally gave dedicated Glock carriers a genuinely thin single-stack option, and a massive number of them bought it, carried it, and simply never felt a reason to move to the newer, more capacious 43X. Why number 4? 6 rounds is genuinely limited by 2026 standards, but real-world carry data doesn't care what's newest. It cares what's actually riding on someone's hip right now, and there's a lot of original 43s still doing exactly that. Price approximately $480. Capacity 6+1. Best for Glock carriers who bought the simplest single-stack option and stuck with it. Number 3. Sig Sauer P365. Not the XL, not the X Macro. The original P365, the gun that actually started the entire micro-compact category everyone else has been copying since. 10+1 flush capacity, 12+1 extended, width of exactly 1 inch, weight unloaded of 17.8 ounces. This is the gun real carriers bought first, back when 10 rounds in a 1-inch frame felt genuinely revolutionary, and millions of them are still carrying that exact original model today. Why number 3? Newer variants offer more capacity and better sights, but the original P365 is still manufactured, still sold in massive volume, and still on more real waistbands than almost anything else in this size class. Price approximately $500. Capacity 10+1 flush, 12+1 extended. Best for carriers who bought the gun that started the category and never needed to upgrade. Number 2. Glock 19. You knew this one had to be near the top, and here's the honest reason why. 15+1 capacity, width of 1.18 inches, weight unloaded of 23.6 ounces. More Glock 19s exist in circulation in the United States than almost any other single carry pistol model. Not because YouTube tells people to buy it every week, but because millions of people already bought it 1 year ago, trust it completely, and never once considered replacing it. Why number 2? Because as common as it is, it's not actually the single most carried category of firearm in America. There's one more, and almost nobody expects it. Price approximately $550. Capacity 15+1. Best for carriers who want the single most proven, most supported pistol platform ever built. Number 1. Ruger LCR. Here's the surprise, it's not a striker-fired pistol at all. It's a 5-shot, 38 special revolver, and it is genuinely one of the most carried defensive firearms in America right now, in 2026, while YouTube almost never talks about it. Weight unloaded of 13.5 ounces. Polymer fire control housing over an aluminum frame. No slide to rack. No magazine to load. No manual safety to remember. Point it, pull the trigger, and it fires. Every single time. Exactly the same way it fired the last time. Real carriers who choose the LCR are disproportionately people the algorithm ignores completely. Older shooters with arthritis who cannot rack a slide reliably. Women who carry in a purse or a pocket and cannot risk a semi-auto malfunctioning inside a bag. People who bought exactly one gun in their entire life, learned it once, and never had a reason to learn anything else. The reason YouTube never puts the LCR at number 1 is simple. There is no trigger job to sell, no optic to mount, no aftermarket parts to review. A 5-shot revolver generates 0 sponsored content, which means it generates 0 YouTube coverage, which means an enormous, completely real population of daily carriers is invisible to the algorithm entirely. That invisibility is the whole story of this list. The gun that is actually carried the most by real, ordinary Americans is a gun content creators have almost no financial reason to talk about. Price approximately $570. Capacity 5+0. Best for carriers who want total mechanical simplicity and have nothing to sell you on the way there. 10 guns. 0 sponsors deciding which ones made this list. The pattern here is the same pattern every single time. The guns that actually get carried are not always the guns getting talked about. Sometimes it's because they're too cheap to generate affiliate revenue. Sometimes it's because they're too old to feel excited in a thumbnail. And sometimes, like the gun at number 1, it's because there's simply nothing to sell once you own one. If this list showed you something the algorithm has been hiding from you, that's exactly the point. Hit that like button if this was different from every other ranking you've seen. Subscribe if you want more of this. Drop a comment telling us what's actually on your hip right now, especially if it didn't make this list. Stay safe. Stay trained. Carry the gun that's actually earned its place, not the one that got the most sponsorship money this year.